Hey folks, welcome back to the shop. Today, we're gonna do another What's in the Box. And you probably saw the thumbnail. Boss 2 3/4 inch bismuth shot. Real popular stuff with some folks. Some folks seems like they live or die by this stuff. But anyway, we got 2 3/4 inch 7/8 ounce offering from them, and this is 3-5 blend duplex, whatever they're calling it, and also have number 5 shot. From what I'm gathering, these are probably the two most popular sizes that I read about from folks online and whatnot. But anyway, this stuff for the most part is readily available from Boss. They only, they ship direct to customer, not in any retail stores that I know of. Maybe one or two exception, cases that I've read about with exception. But anyway, mainly an online retailer, direct to consumer, which is good, I guess, for pricing, but it can be bad for people that, I don't know, maybe you can't get ammo shipped to your house. Then it's kind of a stinker, or you live in a different country or something like that. But anyway, let's get you on this side of the bench. We'll break this thing apart, see what's going on with it there. Then we'll go out and shoot this thing. I've got patterns from both shells, and then I have patterns from both. So we'll take a look at the number 5 shot, the 3-5 duplex, and then we'll go over some thoughts after that. All right, so come on over here. Let's take a look at it, break it down, see what it's made of, and we'll go from there. All right, so let's take a look at the box here. Got a nice, heavily logoed box. Man, if you like the graphics, this is nice, right? Non-toxic Magnum, ball shot shells, unmuzzled. But really the only details we get are on this end, and basically 28 gauge, 2 3/4 inch, number 5 shot, 1,350 feet per second, 7/8 ounce payload, made by whoever, and then of course, company info, right? So that's pretty much it. These are the number 5s, and the number 3-5s are basically the same. Now, one thing that I'll mention, this box looks kind of small in my hand. I mean, I may have some bigger hands, but it is small. The reason is you only get 20 shells when you order a box of Boss. So I don't know what the deal is with that. I know years ago, turkey loads were made popular by just giving you 10. Some of the TSS stuff, they'll just give you 10. Maybe they thought they were giving you a better deal by doubling that and giving you, premium ammo. Who knows? But anyway, you're only getting 20. So you got to figure that in with pricing. Now, let's take a look at these. This is the 3-5 blend, and I've only got a few of these left. I've patterned a few of them. But on the shell, it's just a Cheddite hull. You can tell by the marking on the base of the hull. So nothing super special there. Readily available Cheddite hulls. 2 3/4 inch, 20 gauge, number 3-5, copper plated, non-toxic, which it is. And just a normal crimp. The number 5, basically the same thing. The same Cheddite marked hull, which is going to be the same type of hull you're going to find in double sports, the Academy Monarch, Cleaver, Mirage ammo, all those are Cheddite hulls. So It's a European type hole, right? All right, so let's break these open and see what we come up with. All right. Super simple to do that. And I just lost 2 shot. Hang on just a second. All right, here we go. So there's the 2 shot that I lost. They look like number 5s. Obviously, this is number 5 shot. Now, I'm gonna pour these back in here because I didn't turn my scale on. Let's get scale on. Okay, we're zeroed out. So we're looking for 382 grains. And they are all out. And it looks like we got 371. So we're about 10 grains light, okay? 10 grains light. Now, let's take a look at this shot. What do we have here? Well, I mean, you know, bismuth, by the nature of bismuth, and we've looked at bismuth in the past. Well, maybe we haven't. But anyway, I know that I've loaded some bismuth in the past. I don't know if we went over a detailed shot review. But anyway, what I'm getting at with bismuth is the way it's made, the way it's dropped, the way it's manufactured. You're going to get some abnormal type things. Like that piece right there is almost, you know, kind of egg shaped. You can tell by the way this stuff moves around on my plate. For the most part, it all looks similar to the same size. I would say that. But we see some things that kind of stick out to us. Let me move this piece. Let me make sure I got this in the camera. Yeah, you probably can see that. This piece right here is not rolling, and neither is that piece, okay? And it's because I'm gonna have to get my other little tweezer thing. It's because it is fractured. You can actually see the crystal almost on that. And there's the other one. See how that's got like a crystal? That's the bismuth itself. So these 2 pieces, and I don't know if they belong to each other and they've broken, but other shells of these that I've opened, I'm only finding a half. So I doubt if those 2 belong to each other. They might, I don't know. But I would say during the dropping and the measuring and however they are weighing or by volume, however they're getting this shot into this hull when they're manufacturing, going to the line, I'd say there's a mechanism or something that's probably shearing or breaking that shot. But this is, you know, unfortunately common with bismuth. And there's a little tail on that one. I don't know if you guys can, I don't know if you can see that. I hope y'all can see that. Little tiny, like a little pigtail, little nub. But anyway, but all in all, I mean, it is a copper-plated bismuth shot. I mean, I guess it's copper, they say it is, and it looks like a copper color, so we'll go with that. So a little bit light on payload. It's kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. That's kind of what we see with a lot of commercial ammunition. Now, what I'm going to do is I actually have my own little bag of number 5 Boss Bismuth. That's one thing with Boss is you can actually buy shot from Boss, which, hey, as a reloader, I'm digging that like a shovel. So let's go ahead and break open the 3.5 and see what it looks like. All right. So we've got 3.5 open. Let's get the scale. Again, we're looking for 382 point something. And again, 374. So we're a little light on that one too. 374, okay. Closer, but still a little light. All right, 8 to 10 grains light. So let's put this in here and see what we come up with. Because what I'm always interested in these blends, I like to know, hey, what's the mix of this stuff? So right off the bat, we can see that that's probably what they're calling number 3. That's definitely what they're calling number 3. Okay. Now, one thing that I'm noticing in this load is as far as shot anomalies, we don't have anything that's fractured. We do have a couple of little pigtails. So right there's a little pigtail on that one. It's kind of hard to see right there. We got a little pigtail right here. But all in all, you know, obviously 3, 3, 3, 3, 5, 5, 5, 5. Another little pigtail. You know, the ones with the pigtails, the actual shot itself looks like it might be a little bit smaller, but the pigtail may not have allowed it to go through the smaller screen. So who knows? But again, all in all, it looks pretty good. Now, one thing I've done is I've broken these out as far as how much is what of what. So I took the liberty to earlier bust open another 3.5 because I wanted to know the ratio. They talk about even mix and all this kind of stuff. So we have 56 number 3 pellets, which came out to 196.3 grains, okay? We had 73, what I'm calling number 5 pellets. And I mean, you know, look, if you're gonna disagree with me, you're welcome to come here and we can count these ourselves, right? 170 grains. So, I forgot what this thing weighed, like 374. So we're not too far off of that, but that was, you know, 2 different hulls. This one actually had 73.5, and the reason I put a half is because one of these is broken in half. So you probably could say 74. So if you add these 2 together, that's 130 total pellets in the round. Now, the number 5 bismuth should have around 170. But I think it's actually getting closer to like 155 or 160 just because it come in light. Now, let's see what kind of wad they're working with. We'll open him up. Trust me, this ain't hurting his chaddite hull. All right. And what do we know? We've got a nice little Gualandi HV28 wad. Again, readily available. There's, I think that probably split because I did it on accident, but this one is intact. So they're not pre-slitting or anything like that. There's no extra cuts. Again, it's mass produced. They're not going to take time to do that, right? But readily available hull. Now, I'm sure, you know, these shells are, I'm assuming they're literally identical except for the shot. So I wasn't as careful spreading this one, so I tore it. But you know what? Let's just go ahead. We'll just cut him. Look, chaddite hulls are a dime a dozen. I'll cut this one because I got a million more. Doesn't really bother me. Okay. All right, again, same wad. I mean, this should be the exact same, you know, assembled the same way. So let's take a look at powder. Same thing that we do in all the what's in the boxes. All right, so let's get our scale on here. So this is the 3-5 blend. And this is why I tap it, folks. Did you see that extra amount of powder come out? As a matter of fact, there's actually a bit in the bottom. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a bit in the bottom still. So I'm just gonna put my little deal down there. And, you know, in that case, it wasn't enough to make it move, but 17.6 grains of something. You know, this is what's so crazy about Boss ammunition. They're very free to offer out, you know, hey, this is what we use, this is this, this is this. We don't know exactly. You know, a lot of people think that this is long shot. I promise you it is not long shot. Now, it may be very similar canister grade St. Mark's type powder. I'm not going to speculate, but I do know that there's 17.6 grains of whatever it is in there, right? And by the way, I'm going to get a little bit deeper into this a little bit later on. So let's pour that back in there. Let's see what the number 5 has in it. Number 5 has got 17. $17.8. So they've probably got their machine set to run, you know, somewhere between 17.6 and 17.8. Who knows? I don't think they have it set higher because I don't think it would be that far off on the low end. I don't think they have it set at 17.5 because it wouldn't be that high on the upper end. So there's a 17.6, 17.8 right in there. Same exact powder, right? And then of course the primer. Whoop! I just dumped all that powder right on my hand. That was dumb as could be. All right. Anyway, so the primer is a Cheddite primer, which is going to come pre-primed in Cheddite hulls. So if you go to BPI, Precision, anybody that sells Cheddite pre-primed hulls, well, this is what they're using. So it's the same exact thing, right? So at this point, let's go out to the farm and shoot these jokers. Ounce. Number 5, 40 yards, cylinder choke. Seven 1/8 ounce Boss, number 5, improved cylinder choke, 40 yards. Seven 1/8 ounce Boss, number 5, 40 yards, modified choke. Boss, 7/8, number 5, improved modified choke, 40 yards. Seven 1/8 ounce Boss, number 5, 40 yards, full choke. All right, Boss, 2 3/4 inch, 7 1/8 ounce, 3-5 blend, 40 yards. Starting out with a cylinder choke. Boss, 3-5 blend, 7/8 ounce, 2 3/4 inch, 28 gauge, 40 yards. Improved cylinder choke. Boss 3.5 blend, 7/8 ounce, modified choke, 40 yards. Boss 3.5 blend, 7/8 ounce, 2 3/4 inch, 40 yards, improved modified. Boss 3.5, 7/8 ounce, 2 3/4 inch, 40 yards, full choke. All right. Patterning the Boss. Okay, so just like you saw in the footage, I was shooting a Benelli Super Black Eagle 3 with factory Benelli chokes. The chokes that came with the gun. So the cylinder is a flush choke. The improved cylinder and the modified are extended chokes. The improved modified and the full are flush chokes. I patterned these at 40 yards. I think, you know, obviously number 5, this is number 5, by the way, and this is the 3.5 duplex. Number 5 is going to have the energy to take game out to 40 yards, no problem. It's probably going to hit comparative to like a number 3 steel from everything I can gather. And then the 3.5 is going to be like a number 3 and probably like a number 1 or a B steel, okay? So with that in mind, let's take a look at what we got. So 40 yards, both of these, 3.5 blend. There's 36 pellets inside the circle, 63 on the board itself. That is a 23 or 27, I can't read my own writing. It's a 27% pattern efficiency. And that's by me going off of 130 pellets. That's how many was in the actual round, the ones that I broke apart. I think their literature, and we'll get more into that later, says that there might be a few less actually. I don't know, we'll get into that. Now, this is 56 number 5s on the paper. There's 31 in the circle. It's an 18% efficiency on this pattern. And obviously, cylinder choke at 40 yards is going to be tough on anything. I don't think I've shot anything other than TSS that actually does any good with cylinder choke at 40 yards. So let's look at improved cylinder and see what that looks like. All right, so improved cylinder. Bismuth shot in a 28 gauge at 40 yards. And you know what? I've shot a bunch of bismuth lately, not at ducks. I don't think I've ever shot a single shot of bismuth at ducks, but I've been doing a lot of work on this myself. We got 72 3.5s in the circle at 40 yards. That's a 55% efficiency when you look at the whole entire load, right? Now, this pattern, obviously on both of these, they're starting to come together a little bit, and obviously this stuff is responding to choke, which is good. We want to see that. But as we can see, it's probably not the best pattern in the world. Now, on the 3.5, I have to wonder how much of this is the 3 and how much of this is the 5. I guess at 40 yards, it doesn't really matter because it's all going to work there. Then that makes me ask, why do you need the number 3 shot in there if you're going to go beyond 40 yards? Because there's only, I think, 60 pellets in the round, or 50 something. I'll have to go back and look. But anyway, just keep that in mind. You've got some small shot and some big shot in here. All right. But anyway, 55% efficiency. And also, I went over this in the first Bismuth battle video I did probably a year ago. There's some small pinholes in this pattern that aren't marked, and there's some small pinholes in this pattern that aren't marked. And it's because, in my eyes, that full pellet did not make it to the target, so I'm just not going to count it. Now, in the number 5, again, we got obviously a core starting to build up, but we got some holes. Got some holes, right? So let's take a look at modified. All right. Bismuth, 7/8 ounce, 40 yards, modified choke, 3.5. 65 pellets are now in the circle, so we have a 50% pattern efficiency. 87 are in this circle. We got a 50% efficiency, right? Now, it's kind of odd, but the improved cylinder pattern almost looked better on the 3.5 blend. You've got some pretty large stuff here, and look, I don't think the pattern is more this way. I just don't think it is, and I don't think it's more this way or this way. I mean, that's just where the shot is. It's not terrible. We got a nice core looking here, but it just doing some funky things. Now, the number 5 shot, obviously, you've got a lot more shot in the circle. There's 87 in the circle, where here there's only 65. So there's a bunch more shot in the circle, but you still got some holes and stuff like that. Now, modified, improved, modified, and full is where we would think that Bismuth would really, start showing what it can do, which I think we may start seeing some of that here. But isn't terrible, right? That pattern is not super bad at all. Modified choke, 40 yards. So let's take a look at improved modified. Okay, improved modified. Here we go. The 3.5 responded a little bit better to the 3.5. 76 pellets inside the circle. That's a 58% efficiency. You put that right there on a bird, he's done. You lead him a little too much, ooh, we might have a wound. Or if you shot a little bit above and in front of him, we might have shot in front of him. But obviously, right there is a nice solid core. 58% efficiency. Ooh, it's not. Look, this is not steel, folks. This is not TSS. This is bismuth. Trust me. Unless you're doing special things with bismuth, like adding buffers and stuff, this is about what you're looking at, right? Same thing over here. We actually got worse as far as efficiency. Now, keep in mind, this is pattern efficiency. Let me tell you why I'm throwing these numbers around with this. Is because, well, Boss loves pattern efficiency. Their followers love pattern efficiency. So when those people watch this video, I want them to see this is the efficiency that I'm getting from this, these shots that I had. So 43%, there's 75 in the circle. Now think about this. This round, the 3.5 blend, it has about 130 pellets in it to start out with. 76 of them are inside that circle. This number 5 shot has about 170, or it should have about 170 inside of it. I think that it's probably got more like 160. There's probably 10 or 12 pellets less. But anyway, what I'm getting at is there's the same amount of pellets inside the circle with the same choke, but this one starts out with, 40 more pellets in the shell. All in all, they're not terribly bad. There is a couple of holes here, here, here. You can tell that this is reacting to the choke, and the shot that's reacting to the choke, it's getting in there. It's just we've got a few little holes here and there, right? Again, 28 gauge is not a 12 gauge. You better be on your game when you're shooting 40 yards at a bird with that or that, right? You got to put it on. Let's take a look at full. Man, what do I always say? What a difference a little bit of choke will make, right? Now, it's kind of true for one of these and not true for the other. 3.5 blend at 40 yards with a full choke, I'm showing 68% efficiency. Now, that's about what modified choke should be putting out, I think, right? Around 70%. It's a little less than that. But what we see here is an obvious core, right? Obvious core. Very few outside of the actual circle, which is interesting. Keep that in mind. 130 rounds started out heading towards this target. 99 pellets hit this target. 89 are inside the circle. Where are the other 31 pellets? Where'd they go? That's my question about bismuth all the time, right? Now, let's take a look at number 5. Full choke, 40 yards. Man, this did almost the opposite. 41% efficiency. There's only 71 pellets. And, you know, again, you could say, well, man, it looks like you've missed to the left and you didn't mark the pattern over there. Well, I hope not, because there's a massive hole over there. Same thing down here. Same thing over here, right? Look, there may have been some up here, but this is the bulk of that shot. So now we're not talking 130 pellets in this load. We're talking 160, 165 pellets that should be in there. Man, where's the other, 120 or 115? So that's kind of the confusing part with bismuth. And look, it's just not boss, it's all the bismuth, unless you start buffering and that kind of stuff. So that's pretty much it. Let's go back to the bench. Let's talk about what we saw and a few things on this ammo. All right. So, what do you think about those patterns? Right? The boss, right? So, I think it's kind of typical of bismuth. From what I've done as far as, creating loads myself and shooting this, and me just wanting to get into something besides steel and TSS on the non-toxic side. And I know bismuth is super popular. And when it comes to people that are reloading, like a lot of you guys, hey man, what's up with bismuth? What can we do with it? So that's what I'm trying to do. And even people that don't reload, hey, what's up with bismuth? Should we buy it? Should we do this? Should we do that? Right? So, man, I hate to pause because I know everybody hates silence and all that kind of stuff in these videos, but it's hard to get my thoughts together because, look, this stuff isn't scripted. This is just off the fly. One thing that I'll say is this is a huge positive, huge positive. I wanted to shoot some of this ammo, so I went online, I went to their website, I clicked a few buttons, and literally within less than a week, this stuff was on my doorstep. So this stuff is not unobtainium. It's not like, I don't know, some of the other bismuth offerings that are out there that, well, they may have an ad. You may see a UPC code of it. You may see that it's supposed to exist, but good luck getting a hold of it, right? And when you do find that someone has it, holy crap, it's $50 a box, whatever. So that's a huge positive, is you can get a hold of this stuff. It's not the cheapest stuff in the world. Is it priced on par with what other bismuth offerings are? Yep, it sure is. Now, as far as what it is, I mean, here's the thing. For 40 yards, man, it's tough for me. This is kind of back to that pattern battle video I did a long time ago. 40 yards, it's really tough to get, you know, what I call real good patterns out of this stuff. And it's not just Boss. I mean, I've put together business myself, had it tested, and then I go to the pattern boards and it doesn't do great either. There's some things that I have done, and look, one thing that I know makes a difference because of just messing around with this stuff is you can slow it down. That helps. You can add buffer. That helps. And I know because I've got patterns of 7/8 ounce buffered loads that are blowing these types of patterns away, right? At 40 yards. So it can be made a lot better. And I think Boss knows that. And look, I'm not going to pick on Boss as far as, you know, what they're doing and what they're not doing. The reason that I think Boss is out there is because they're out there, man. They post on social media. They're doing podcasts. They're doing all this stuff, and they share a lot of information, which to me is good. Just like, you know, the Put It On Paper. They have a big PDF that tells you how to pattern your shotgun. One of the things that I kind of have, and I'm not going to say it's an issue, it's just if you're going to post things like this, let's make sure that it's accurate, because in their 7/8 ounce, they say that there should be 166 number 5 shot. Well, I mean, I know for a fact that if you have a true number 5, and look, this could be because of shot size, it varies. It could be the mixture of the bismuth of whatever, but it shouldn't be off a ton. But 7/8 ounce of number 5 bismuth, you should have about 172 pellets in it. And their sheet right here says, by the way, when you pattern our load, you're going to have 166 pellets of number 5, right? So, okay, if you go off that, yeah, it'll make their percentages look a little bit better. Well, it's actually probably true because there's actually not 7/8 ounce in the load, just like Winchester doesn't put 3/4 ounce of steel, right? So maybe the numbers are accurate. Maybe they shouldn't put 7/8. I don't know. It's just that it kind of irks me when you can put your hands on literature like this, right? But anyway, oh, and by the way, improved modified is 70%. I'm seeing that now. Now, so you've got your pellet counts, the 3-5 blend. That's another thing on this sheet. The 3-5 says in 7/8 ounce, there should be 123 pellets. Well, we know that the weight that they're loading in there is 10-ish grains light, right? But there's actually 7 to 10 more pellets than what they're actually telling us. So that can skew numbers too. And look, that's nitpicky. I know it is. But the thing is, Winchester doesn't have anything that says, hey, this is how many pellets are in this load. Because if they did, you could probably pick it apart too. But anyway, and there's a reason why they don't, because it'll never get to where it should be, right? But anyway, it's available. That's real good. 40 yards, man, it's iffy. It's iffy. But any bismuth is at 40 yards. You got to shoot a pretty restrictive choke to get something good at 40 yards. One thing I did notice with cylinder choke on both of these, the 5s and the 3-5 duplex, the pattern itself, the paper, the literal paper, I didn't see one sliver of what I would call fragments, fragmentation, shattering, whatever you want to call it. Now, it could be just because that choke just lets everything that's small just fly off to the side. Don't know. But at improved cylinder, I did start seeing some of it, but I actually saw more of it in the modified, improved, modified, and full. So it's kind of a side note. I noticed that. Now, does it mean anything? I don't know. I just noticed that. Take these stupid readers off. So maybe restriction is causing some of it, and maybe it's just that the lack of restriction is letting those flyers go away. Now, if you're targeting ducks and pheasants or whatever you're shooting, and they're 35, 30 yards, look here, with an improved cylinder or a modified choke, man, you're gonna do a number on them. I'm sure you are. But for me, this is just the logical person. I don't know why that you would pay, you know, $35 or whatever dollars a box of ammo, which is not really even a box. It's only 20 shells, when you could be shooting a less expensive, you know, steel round. I don't know. It's not really a gripe. It's just that something I have a real hard time with, trying to understand why someone would, I don't know, maybe, I don't know if it's overkill or what. But anyway, it just seems like, you know, we see a lot of stuff that says, man, this stuff is awesome. This stuff patterns so well. And well, they're patterning at 30 yards. You don't need it there. I mean, you just don't need it. You can take a 28 gauge with number 5 steel and whack them. I'm talking about whacking them at 30 yards, feet down ducks, right, and decoys. So I understand that if you're shooting this close in, it's going to work much better as far as patterns and patternability. It's just going to pattern better. But I'm not going to pattern it there because number 5 shot is lethal to 40 yards. You know, number 3 shot's probably lethal out to who knows where. But the problem is there's not enough shot in there. Now, let me get on this rant real quick. The duplex rant. And look, some people like this, the duplexing. If you guys are young, by the way, this blend duplexing, trust me, it's been around for a long time. The turkey hunting shell manufacturers years ago thought this would be a great idea. But anyway, we got 74 number 5s, and I'm not worried about the number 5. Let's don't even worry about the number 5s. 56 number 3s, 56 of them, right? 56. Now, this 56, and look, I haven't gone too deep into why a boss says, hey man, you should shoot a blend. Well, I think I have read somewhere where it's talking about long range. You know, if you get something out there that's at a longer range, it's lethal, right? Well, here's the deal. Once you get past 40 yards, number 5 bismuth, it's not doing a whole lot. I'm not saying it's bouncing off of a bird, but that's about its effective range is about 40 yards. Now, number 3, its effective range on ducks is much further, but you've only got 56 pellets to start with. And I promise you, they're not all 56 in that circle, okay? Now, something else, and I hate to get nerdy on you folks, but this is Roster's non-toxic table of lethality. This is the 2016 version. I don't know if there's a 21 version or 22 version or 23. There may be, I just haven't looked. Let me kind of give you the gist of this. I may post this up as a little platform you can pause or whatever. But basically it talks about non-toxic shot, steel, heavy shot, and basically how much of that shot you need in a 30-inch circle to be lethal on certain game, right? So if we look at this real quick, and I'm going to compare the number 3 Boss to say B or 1 steel, right? So if we look at this, large ducks at long range, 45 to 65 yards, steel number 2s and 1s. That's the optimum shot, or the most effective shot, right? The minimum pattern count needed at any distance to cleanly kill in a 30-inch circle, they talk about 85 to 90 pellets, okay? Well, guess what? There's only 65, or I'm sorry, 56. There's only 56 in there. And then it talks about medium geese over decoys, 35 to 55 yards. Steel shot, 2 to BB. You need 60 to 65 of them, okay? And look, this is not the Bible. I understand that. But there's been a massive amount of research that goes into this. And look, I just use it as a guide, you know. I guess what I'm saying is on paper, it doesn't make sense to only have 56 big old honking pellets going out there when maybe 25 of them might be where you're actually pointing your gun, and they might be 15 inches apart, right? So I think that if you are targeting something at a longer distance, you're probably better off to go with just a straight number 3. And matter of fact, let's just look at that. Let's just look at what Boss says that a 7/8 ounce of number 3s have. Got 106 pellets, right? So 7/8 ounces, 106. Now I would say that a true 7/8 of number 3s is going to be probably more like, I don't know. Wait, that's not right. Yeah, 106. 7/8 ounce of number 3s has 106. All right, so let's just say that's true. That's much better than 56. That's twice as much, right? Now, number 4s, 127, 128 number 4s would go in 7/8. So in my eyes, it just makes more sense to have more of a little bit larger pellet than having the 5s just in there somewhere. Now, the only place that duplexing, in my eyes, makes sense is in a TSS steel arena, and for me, like the 410. We'll bring the 410 into this. Half ounce of TSS, an 1/8 ounce of steel. Well, obviously the 1/8 ounce of steel isn't doing anything. It's just there to help open that pattern up and to take up space in the hull. The same thing with the 9/16 ounce, 2.5 ounce duplex 410 load I'm working on. It'll be available soon. The steel's doing nothing. It's just in there to help open the pattern up, whatever amount it does, and fill up a little bit of space. So we don't have to do fillers, wide modifications, and all that kind of stuff. So those are the only times where I see that duplexing actually makes sense, is where you're just helping another shot do something better, because the TSS is better at long range. Even though it will kill at close range, trust me, it is better at long range. So to me, I would much rather have a full load of number 4s, or even a full load of 3s. If you're trying to target geese and you're like, hey man, I'll take the 3.5, and if they get in real close, I'm real good. But if they're a little bit outside of, say, 40 or 45 yards, 50 yards, I might be okay with the blend. Listen, I know this 3.5 blend is super popular, but I promise you there's somebody out there that's not posting up on social media saying, hey man, I just wounded, a bird with 3.5 blend, or I just missed 2 straight shots with 3.5 blend, and I don't know what, whatever. So anyway, now, that's my rant on that. The hulls. We talked about this earlier. This is a straight up Chadite hull. This is nothing, I'd say it's desirable because, well, a lot of loads are made up with Cheddite hulls. So can you reload them? Yes. And I say yes with kind of a question mark. A lot of these that I've shot, you know, picking up the hulls afterwards, there are splits and holes. And I don't know if you guys can see, but there's a little tiny, matter of fact, I'm gonna turn this light on. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but there are little tiny holes in that hull. And you know, it's not like I just picked these out. I just reached over and grabbed a bunch of them. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. This one, like this one, I know for sure, it's got little holes in the hull at the base. And basically it's right here where the crimp is, right? And, you know, the thing with that is, basically it's split. And some of these are split. Like this one's split right here. You can see that. So that is no good for a reloader. I mean, you might could crimp it down. I mean, not crimp it. You cut it and make a 2-inch shorty roll crimp slug or something out of it. But anyway, a lot of these hulls have split ends on them, and I've read that in other, you know, forums or whatever. So it's something that I've never seen. Look, I've shot, I don't even know, thousands of factory Cheddite ammo hulls or Cheddite hulled hulls. Cleaver, friggin' Monarchs, Noble Sports, you name it, tons of them. I'm still reloading a bunch of those over and over and over. The only time that me personally that I ever get this kind of stuff is when I'm cranking down maybe a little bit more pressure than needs to be. A lot of times it'll be the first loading of a load that I'm trying out. I'll put it together. I think this is going to work. I put them all together. I run them through pressure trays. Whoo, boy, howdy. I was wrong. I need to back off a little bit. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but I'm saying that's what's happened to me. That's when I get results like this out of a Cheddite hull. So, and by the way, talking about that, I think I may have, you know what? I may have to pause this and go get the sheet. But actually, I may just put it up on the screen. This kind of goes back to Boss being open, transparent, whatever you want to call it, right? They actually posted like a link to a patent that actually had the recipe to a 12 gauge load with a certain powder. Most folks can't get that powder, but I mean, it was there, right? So people knew exactly what was tested. But word on the street is that, you know, hey, they're using long shot. They're using a commercial canister version of long shot, whatever. Well, we just weighed these rounds. We know that there's 17.5 to 17.8 grains of whatever that powder is, right? Now, if you guys are loading 7/8 ounce bismuth with an HVA 28 hull and you're loading 17.5 grains of long shot, 17 grains of long shot, 16.8 grains of long shot, well, I'm sorry, folks. You are way over pressure. Way over pressure. It's not even close. I got into a conversation with somebody, and they were talking about, oh yeah, I've got a clone load of Boss 7/8 ounce bismuth. I'm like, really? What is it? And he told me, oh, it's blah, 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 Cheddite this, Cheddite that, HV28, 16.5 grains of long shot. I said, that's very interesting because that makes my pressure trace go crazy, right? So I said, I tell you what, let me put one together and I'll send it off and get tested with a group of other hulls. Let's just see where it comes out. And I said, I think I know what the result's going to be. So we sent it off with the last batch of stuff that I sent off like in March. And it came back, I think, a little over 17,000 PSI, which obviously at the bottom it said this exceeds semi pressures. You think? It's 12,500. So, I'm not sure what Boss is using for their powder. I know it's not long shot, or it better not be anywhere close to that, because pretty hot. Now on velocity, I think you might saw on the chronograph on these things, the number 5, my chrono was acting really great that day. And the 5-shot string that I shot actually chronoed averaged at 1349. So it was right at 1350. Now, here's what I do know about Boss, and they're always adapting and changing and doing all this stuff. I think they're coming out with a new wad. And, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see something in the future about, hey, we've gotten a revamped powder structure. This is less recoil. It patterns, you know, 120% better, and the wad melts in the sun. I mean, because, you know, they have some of this stuff already. So I wouldn't be surprised if I think they have a war chief. And look, I looked on their website the other day, and they're showing where they have a 3-inch version of the war chief, which is, you know, supposed to be a buffered with walnut shells. And from people that I've talked to on their other gauges, I think it's 12 gauge has really only been patterned right now. It patterns much better than their legacy. And matter of fact, I have never even said this whole video, but this is what would be considered their legacy ammo. I guess because, well, this is what they've always done. So be on the lookout for a updated, you know, I don't know what all is going to be said about it, but it's going to be buffered, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure if they're going to develop a new wad. It would be tough to come up with a wad that's going to hold 7/8 ounces and be cushioned. It would be tough. Trust me, that HV28 wad is about the best thing going as far as volume that I can see. But hey, maybe they'll come up with something else. I'm sure they got people way smarter than me on this. But yeah, but I know for a fact that with buffer in a Cheddite hull, matter of fact, in a Winchester AA HS hull, 7/8 ounce bismuth patterns much better when you slow it down. You don't have to run this stuff 1,350, 1,400 feet per second. Slow it down a little bit, give it some buffer to protect that shot on the initial pressure shock, and it does a lot better, okay? More to come on that. So what else about the Boss bismuth? Look here, man, if you're looking for factory ammo and you want to go duck hunting and you ain't got to leave tomorrow, or matter of fact, if you know where you're going and you've got an address, hey, this stuff you can get online, a few clicks, throw them your credit card, and look, you're going to get your ammo. You can't say that about a lot of other ammo out there right now. So the availability part is good. Another plus too, bismuth. Look here, man. I got 10 pounds. I think this is 10 pounds. No, it's not 10 pounds now. I shot a bunch of it. But they offer shot to people like us that reload, which is great. It's awesome. I have not seen a big discrepancy in their shot and any of this other bismuth shot that I've gotten lately. And I don't go into that. I may do a video about that later. And I may not, because I don't know how, you know, that may not be around forever. You know, that may just be a 1 or 2 year thing. So anyway, man, I hate that these videos ramble on and go on so long. Y'all probably stopped it 20 minutes ago, and that's fine. But anyway, I don't know really what else. Look, it's good stuff. It's available. It's a fair price. It's compared to whatever else is out there. Can you reload cheaper? Absolutely, you can. I think everybody that reloads knows that. But that's why I like to shoot this stuff, because there's some people that don't. I think that's about it. It's good stuff, man. You can kill ducks with it. It kills a pile of ducks every year. If I was shooting over decoys and didn't have nothing else to shoot, I'd be smiling every time I pulled the trigger, because they're probably gonna be feather flying. So, all right, thank y'all for watching. Hit that subscribe button. It helps, brothers. It helps. We'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.